do you think he was ever sincere? Because if you look back many years, he wrote some books, A Place Under the Sun, and things of this nature, where he sounds very nationalistic and realistic and willing to bite the bullet and do that which is required. But if you read what he wrote in those books so many years ago, and you can compare that to what he actually did, you see that he did not do anything. Nothing of those things that he wrote about did he actually carry out in practice.
But that's a phenomenon in Israel where you have people like Arik Sharon, who famously said, "Go seize the hills in the territories to establish our possession, if you will, of real estate in the territories." You have people like Ehud Olmert, who started off as a staunch right-wing nationalist and who ended up being, well, something far less than that. And the list just goes on. So in the case, it has come as no surprise to me that his alleged or professed belief in our national cause has been nothing more than rhetoric. I had a conversation with him while I was in prison about Hebron, and I criticized him very heavily for having given up 3/4 of Hebron in negotiations with the Palestinians. And he said, look, sometimes you have to give a leg or an arm away in order to the sharks to survive. And I said to him, you had no right to give anything away from Eretz HaKodesh.
It was not your leg or your arm.
And it wasn't your leg or your arm. It's our people's blood that you gave away. And he was he thought I was funny. I had to convince him I wasn't joking. To him, Eretz Yisrael, Eretz HaKodesh, like Trump, is real estate. That's all. He doesn't even have a sense of strategic importance, devoid of any religious significance, just strategic importance. Because if he did, well, he would have declared sovereignty over the Jordan River Valley years ago. Or he would have, at my suggestion, declared a sovereign area around all of our heritage sites in the territories, in Yehuda and Shomron and Binyamin. And the list just goes on. But he has no grasp, if you will, of the transcendent value of our land. And it just doesn't have it. And that's because he has no fear of heaven, Yirat Shamayim. He is not a religious person. I have called him, an atheist, which I believe he is. And so this is not
his father. His father most certainly was.
No, you read any of his father's works, and there isn't a hint of religiosity in any of it.
Yes, I have read, for example, his father's work on the life and writings of my ancestor, Rabbeinu Yitzchak Abarbanel. And you read quite plainly between the lines that he's quite dismissive of Abarbanel's positions and beliefs and ideas, because he's clearly a secular a Jew who is completely removed from the Torah, divorced from the Torah.
After reading his 800-page tome on the Inquisition, I finished the book and I thought about it, and there was no Yiddishkeit in it at all. There was no Jewishness in the book at all.
Completely bland.
Bland. I mean, it was a very well-written, extremely
tremendous researcher and knowledgeable.
Right.
Question.
I mean, my knowledge of the subject matter just grew exponentially as a result, but my soul wasn't nourished by it. I'll put it that way. And I've read his stuff on your ancestor, Abarbanel, and it's the same thing. Bland, dry, naked facts without, he put clothes on Abarbanel, but he didn't give a soul to Abarbanel. You know, that's the problem with him. And that's Bibi Netanyahu. He has wonderful clothes, but there's no soul. There just isn't. I'm sorry to say that.
It's the classics. You mentioned clothes. It's a very good metaphor. The famous story about the emperor has no clothes.
Okay. Right. Well, he doesn't, but he's convinced everybody he has. And legacy, he can't do anything right now that will improve the horrific legacy that he's going to leave behind him. History will judge him very harshly. And as I said,
he must know this today.
I think he knows it in his, whatever goes for a heart in him, he must know that. And this is why, he's constantly maneuvering. And this latest leak from the prime minister's office about the day after, the Singapore and the Mediterranean, is classic Bibi. Look at this, look over here, Don't look at me, look over here. It's misdirection. And nobody's buying it. I mean, I saw the responses to this piece, and I won't dignify them by repeating them, but they were quite negative. They were quite, and appropriately so.